My name's Charlie Robinson. I'm the author of The Octopus of Global Control. I want to give you a little insight as to what I'm doing. This is a video series that is going to be a companion to my book, The Octopus of Global Control, published the end of summer 2017. And these videos will be a little bit about each of the chapters. And you can find the books for sale on Amazon as an ebook and a paperback. In 2007, I was on a dive trip to Phuket, Thailand, and a friend of mine loaned me a book to read. And during that trip, I couldn't put it down. It's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins, and it opened my eyes to what was really going on in the world. Now, I knew about 9/11. I knew there were major problems with that. I knew that the wars were typically bullshit. They were made-up excuses and things like that. What I didn't have a very firm grasp on was how the economics and how the World Bank and how the IMF is used to put other countries into positions where they default on their loans and then they use that as leverage to make them do what they want to do, whether it is voting their way in a UN resolution or whether it's privatizing their lumber industry or something like that. It's a rigged game. And his book was eye-opening to me. And once you read Confessions of an Economic Hitman, you can never unknow the things that he talks about in there. It's no wonder why it sold many millions of copies. It's a great book. And so that's what opened my eyes. I went about the next couple years just having an interest in topics like that and researching them. What I didn't realize was that I was actually writing the book back then. I would take notes on things that I had read, and I was trying to sort of put the pieces together. I came up with the idea for this because the octopus has 8 tentacles, the 8 tentacles of control with regard to the world that we're living in currently, are military control, governmental control, covert control, physical, financial, media, spiritual, and scientific control. That is the way that our minds are formed, our opinions are formed, our minds are shaped by the people at the top of these organizations, top of the food chain, so to speak. They manipulate the world in a way that suits them, and we don't have a clue as to what's going on. But it seems like that's starting to change. People are kind of waking up to the fact that what you see on TV is not real. Politicians have always been liars, but now they're being exposed as not just liars, but sociopaths, criminals, and we just had an election in the United States in 2016 where we had one narcissistic lunatic fighting another psychopathic mass murderer, and it's like, who wins? Well, nobody. Certainly the American people didn't win. So this book goes into details about how these different tentacles are used to manipulate the people. If you have ever ruined a Thanksgiving dinner by bringing up the topic of 9/11 or of something that is polarizing, like the Boston bombing, whatever, and you've had the dinner table turn on you, make you feel like you are wearing a tinfoil hat, well, we've all sort of been there probably. I know I have. This book is perfect for people that are just starting to figure some of this stuff out. If you feel an obligation to your friends or family members that you want to introduce them to these topics in a way that they won't roll their eyes at you, I found the best way for me to do this is to inject some humor into it. So the book is funny. There's funny parts. It's definitely serious, but with topics that are this heavy, you have to have a little bit of levity because otherwise people just say, I can't deal with this. This is too much. You're bringing me down, man. I can't take it. So that was my intention. So part of the book has humor. One of the other components of the book that I think is probably the most important is the quotes. I've pulled quotes from over 500 different people that had lived through these events or had a hand in them. It's one thing to get somebody's opinion on TV. Some talking head comes on there and tells you how to think about a certain event. It's very different, though, to read somebody's words that was involved in it. And I think that that's important. So that's what I tried to do. I take a little bit of the quotes from people that were actually there involved in these events, and then I blend in a little bit of humor and sarcasm and try to make this book entertaining while still being informative. So I want to start off with a quote from Stephen Bassett. He is the head of Paradigm Research Group, and this is with regards to the truth, which I think is the point of this whole book. So he describes it like this. He says, "Imagine if the truth was a huge jigsaw puzzle, a big box with 20,000 pieces, and it is the truth, the absolute truth. It is a picture of the world as it really is. You come into this world, you get an education, you're handed this box, and the idea is to put all the pieces together. If you put the pieces together on this huge table, it will be the truth about the world that you live in. So you set about to do that. All good. A wonderful thing. Except there's a problem. Turns out that the government that you are living under has made a decision to interfere with this truth process. It's a political decision being made for political reasons to serve the state, almost never the citizens. So the government has taken a whole bunch of these pieces out of your box and it's thrown them away. They're missing. Well, that's a problem, but it gets worse. They've grabbed a bunch of pieces from another box, another puzzle, and thrown them into your box, to your puzzle. And now you have to put this thing together with an idea that what you're going to find is the truth. That is an almost impossible situation, and it is extremely effective to serve the state." So that's the plan. We're going to go figure out what is the truth, but really before you do that, you have to come to the understanding that what you believe, what we've all been believing our entire lives, is not always necessarily the truth. And our brains do a very interesting thing when presented with actual facts that disprove the things that we have attached our understanding to. So Carl Sagan, back 30 years ago, had a pretty important quote, and I think it's very fitting for this. "One of the saddest lessons of history is this: if we've been bamboozled long enough, we tend to reject any evidence of the bamboozle. We're no longer interested in finding out the truth. The bamboozle has captured us. It's simply too painful to acknowledge, even to ourselves, that we've been taken. Once you give a charlatan power over you, you almost never get it back." One of the funny things is that we've been lied to so often for so long that when somebody actually tells us the truth, we sort of dismiss it and assume that maybe they're lying about it too. Here's a great quote from David Rockefeller. He says, "For more than a century, ideological extremists at either end of the political spectrum have seized upon well-publicized incidents to attack the Rockefeller family for the inordinate influence they claim we wield over American political and economic institutions. Some even believe that we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure. One world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it." David Rockefeller. He's not even hiding it. He's admitting to it. This is from his autobiography. He's not Charles Barkley. He wasn't misquoted. He's telling you what the plan is. Just, you should, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. David Rockefeller and his family have done nothing but concoct insane plans to increase their wealth and their influence while diminishing the rest of the people in the world in general and in the United States in particular. So look, if this guy's telling you he is an internationalist and he's proud of it, you should probably stand up and listen. This is important stuff. So if you like the book, if you like the topics of the book, go to Amazon.com. You can buy a paperback version, you can buy a digital version, but there's also a feature there that allows you to read the first 30 or 40 pages, I'm not sure. Take a look, read it. If you like it, buy the book. If not, that's cool. Hope you enjoyed the series.